All right, first off, I want to thank everyone for coming out. This is important and very significant for this family. My name is Attorney Michael Wright. I'm introducing Attorney Robert Gresham. There's also Attorney Zachary Pyers and Attorney Keaton Steele, who are not here with us today. I'm going to introduce Brittany Cooper and Brandon's mother, who is Michelle Cooper, and Dr. Derek Ford, president of the Dayton unit of the NAACP. So why are we here today? We're here because Lyft chose profit over people. I'm going to say that one more time. We're here today because Lyft chose profit over people. Brandon was robbed and killed on January 26, 2022. But we know between January 14th and January 26th of 2022, there were multiple Lyft robberies in the Dayton area. Lyft did not warn any of its drivers, and Lyft failed to implement policies that they already had in place that would have prevented this murder. On the day before Brandon was killed, on January 25th, an unverified account, Jimmy Smith, was activated. It had an unverifiable account, and it was set up with an untraceable payment method. This was the account that ultimately called Brandon to the area in which he was killed. So what are we saying? Lyft had the responsibility to verify these accounts. They also had the ability and responsibility to warn Brandon. Actually, an hour before Brandon was killed, there was another Lyft driver that was robbed at gunpoint. It was actually the same juveniles that killed Brandon. Lyft knew that the prior ride had not been completed, but yet still allowed this unverified, untraceable account to call Brandon to this area. At the time that Brandon responded, he was robbed and killed. Again, Lyft failed Brandon and failed this family. And for that, that's why we're here, and that's why we are bringing a wrongful death lawsuit against the Lyft Corporation. I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to ask if Brittany or Michelle want to make a brief comment.
I will. I am Brandon's mother. He was my only son, my only child, and they sent him there when they knew there was already a problem. As far as I am concerned, the blood of my son is on Lyft's hands. The only thing they didn't do was pull the trigger. They failed to protect him, and now we have to go on without him because of that.
Brandon was my husband, and he was providing for both of us. And Lyft, based on their policies and their practices, allowed for riders to use it as a tool, to use Lyft as a tool to take his life, to make it convenient for them to do so.
Dr. Ford.
Michelle Cooper and his wife filed a complaint at our office regarding this horrendous act of violence inside of the Dayton community. Here's a man, as you just heard from Brittany, his wife, that was providing for his family. Woke up in the morning, went to go make an honest day's living to provide for his family. Kissed his wife and said, honey, I'll see you soon. Just to be assassinated through the vehicle of Lyft by means of as you heard Attorney Wright say, with no accountability as relates to who was calling upon that ride. But we know through our investigation that Lyft has measurements in place. Every corporation that I know always states that safety is the #1 priority. I worked in corporate America for nearly 30 years, and safety always is the #1 priority. Brandon passed away on January 26, 2022, about 2 a.m. in the morning. Think about this. 12 hours later, Brandon receives not his mother, not his spouse. Brandon receives an email that says, hi, Brandon, from Lyft, that says, hi, Brandon, my name is Barry, and I'm reaching out from Lyft safety team. I just tried calling you a few minutes ago, but wasn't able to reach you. We received a concerning report regarding a few cancellations that have been taking place earlier this morning and wanted to reach out to make sure that you are okay. Please let us know if there's anything we can do to assist you, and there's a telephone number. That's 12 hours after his death. So it's evident through their own writing from their safety team that they do have measurements in place to deal with these types of issues. Then, a couple of hours later, so that was at 2:12 in the afternoon. Here at 5:13 in the afternoon, they sent another message to Brandon. I'm following up on an incident that occurred. I want to say I'm truly sorry to hear about what happened during your recent ride. I am here to help with this process however we can. I've sent this information to our insurance provider, and the adjuster will be in contact with you within 2 business days. So when you think about this, they knew that an incident had occurred from a previous driver who already had been held at gunpoint and their vehicle stolen in the same area. Lyft must be held accountable. We collectively will hold Lyft accountable for their inaction to provide safe riding experience for a citizen of Dayton, Ohio.
We'll take some questions.
If I could ask Brittany.
Yeah.
Brittany, first of all, to you and to you, Michelle, to both of you, I'm sorry for your loss. I can't imagine what you were going through. Brittany, Michelle kind of talked about it, but if I could ask you, what did the world lose and what did you lose when your husband was murdered?
The world lost someone that truly cared about everyone else more than himself and would constantly be more worried about what he was doing for his family, his community, for even just people he came across to make sure that they were okay. He would go to events in downtown Dayton and check people's cars because he heard them complaining about their car had issues. And he would do everything he could, to the best of his ability. And they really don't understand whose life was taken.
When it comes to the criminal side of this too, do you all want the juveniles who did this to be charged, or accused of doing this, to be charged as adults?
Yes.
It's a process that's ongoing, but.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then, Michael, with this suit, are you all wanting Lyft to enact new policies, or simply just follow the policies they have in place that you're alleging they did not the night of Brandon's death?
Well, that's a great question. And through discovery, we'll find out specifically what their policies were and what they didn't do that led to the death of Brandon. We know that they have policies in place. Evidently, they didn't follow the policies that they had in place, or if they did follow the policies that they had in place and it still led to his death, then we need to make sure that they enact new policies, because we don't want this to happen to anybody else. I mean, this should not happen to anyone else that leaving the house, trying to make a living and trying to provide for their family.
And essentially, you're alleging that there are, because we uncovered the same group of teens was accused of, as Derek and some others have mentioned, 2 prior robberies of Lyft drivers. There were red flags that Lyft missed or failed to warn Brandon of that could have prevented his death?
Absolutely. All of the above. There were policies in place that should have flagged these unverified accounts that were being paid for by untraceable sources. I mean, these were juveniles. You're not supposed to have a Lyft account unless you're 18 years old. So clearly they didn't do what they were supposed to do to even verify that these individuals were eligible to even call a Lyft driver.
In your research, have you found that Lyft has had to defend similar type cases where they've had drivers that have been called victim of murder?
Yeah, we know that there are other cases that have been pending, that are pending, and we believe that these cases are necessary until Lyft changes their policies or enact new policies to prevent this from happening. They have all the technology. They could have very easily disabled this account. They could have very easily prevented these juveniles from calling Brandon to the scene. They did nothing. Their failure is why he's not alive.
In your research, any idea how many Lyft drivers have been murdered?
I don't have that information readily available, but through discovery, we will get that specific information during the course of this lawsuit.
Is that lawsuit filed here where the crime occurred, or where they're incorporated?
No, the lawsuit's filed here in Montgomery County. We believe that we have a time-stamped copy that we can provide to you all, but it was filed last evening.
And it's evident that they have a system in place already that they could have notified Brandon prior to him going out, kissing his wife goodbye. So they already have a system already in place. And their failure, their neglect to notify individuals who are in the area, they have a database, who are in the area, who are Lyft drivers, to notify them of this particular incident that had just occurred from an unauthorized user of an account. So they already have a system in place. So there is really no reason why that did not occur.
You all feel this was preventable?
Absolutely preventable.
Yeah. In addition to, Lyft doesn't allow their drivers to protect themselves. They have policies in place where they are not to record any of the riders. They have policies in place where they are not to carry firearms or carry any type of protective equipment during the ride. So, without them doing their job, he was a sitting duck.
I had a question for Brittany. Did Brandon ever express to you his concern about safety driving with this company?
He had a lot of concerns with this company and other rideshare companies, but specifically the ones that he drove for. There was concerns that he would be sent to certain areas where he didn't feel safe, so he would try to exit as quickly as possible and to stay on the phone with me. And that's as much as he could do.
How long has he driven for Lyft?
4 years, over 4 years.
Anything else?
Perhaps, Mom, could you tell us what kind of son was he? I mean, what was his personality? What should we remember about him?
He was a kind person, would help in animals, people. He was just very, very kind. He was well-traveled because I'm a veteran, so he's been all over the world. He knew a lot, and he did not feel the need to carry a weapon because he was a degreed martial artist. So he was able to protect himself if he felt the need to know that he was in danger. He didn't know. He's been known to go out on cold nights with extra clothes on, to take those off and give them to people he saw in the street that were not warmly clothed enough. Well, he would ride home in basketball shorts because he would have given all his clothes away. So they took everything from us.
All right, that's all. Thank you for coming and for covering this. This is very important to us and the family. Thank you.